21st Century Entrepreneurship with Martin Piskarik.
I never thought I'd be doing this, but I've had some tragic things happen in my family. Like I said, I retired in '93. I loved what I did. I loved flying. I loved serving my country. And I had a successful real estate and mortgage business up until about 2008. Now, I live in Fayetteville, North Carolina. My son lived in Little Rock, Arkansas. He was married, and his wife was 39. They had two little girls. They were 7 and 4. Well, in 2009, we went down there for Christmas, and my son had been 100% disabled for over 3 years and still not getting his disability. We hired an attorney. He finally got his disability in the summer of 2010. But January 5th, Martin, changed my entire life, 2010. His wife called me, said, "Alan, I've been diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and they've given me 6 months to live." Of course, I was devastated. But I was like 90%, 99% of everybody out there that thought life insurance was a death product that you had to die to benefit from it. Well, little did I know, she had a terminal illness rider on her life insurance policy that let her access the death benefit, which was in the hundreds of thousands of dollars within 1 year of diagnosis, completely tax-free. And if it had not been for that, my son would be bankrupt, and it took a huge financial strain off of me. Well, to make a long story short, she died a year later. We moved my son back here. He lives behind me in another house with the girls. But about a year after that, my daughter, who's an oncology nurse, had just given birth to my third grandson. About a month after that, she was diagnosed with breast cancer, and it was very bad. We didn't think she was going to live. Well, she's over 13 years cancer-free now. But in 2024 or 23, she contacted Graves' disease and thyroid eye condition. And there's only one treatment for it right now, and it's not even guaranteed. It's called Trapeza. It's an infusion, 8 infusions. The first one was $32,000. The last one was almost $250,000, and that was in May of 2023. In January of 24, the thyroid eye condition came back, and she went to the doctor in February. The doctor said, "Nicole, I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do until you go blind, and then we can operate." Now, what a prognosis. So we tried to get her back into Duke for a study. We shouldn't qualify because she took the Trapeza already. She came back from the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, where she was up there for 4 days testing and consultation. But there's basically nothing they can do for her either. She's got another drug up there, but it's only 50% effective. It's not backed by insurance, and it's even more expensive than the Trapeza. So right now, she's basically living day to day in pain and deteriorating eye condition. This is the stuff that got me doing what I'm doing now. I'm very, very passionate about what I do. %99 of people, to include CPAs, attorneys, and financial advisors, have no idea what I'm talking about half the time because they're not educated on the products, they're not licensed to sell them, and it's the way they're paid. My name's Alan Porter, and I'm retired military. I was a Blackhawk instructor pilot, and I was the expert in my field. I loved serving my country, and I love flying. I never had a passion for doing anything until I entered the financial services industry. And the reason I got into this is because some tragic things had happened to my family. But I became the expert in certain areas of my financial fields. When I was in the military, I read one book. Basically, that was the operator's manual for the Blackhawk helicopter, any helicopter I flew. I knew every nut, every bolt, stability augmentation system, flight path stabilization system, limitations, emergencies, and I've had many emergencies, but I managed to get the helicopter down without loss of life or equipment. And I equate that same expertise to what I do with financial advising. I show people many different ways on how to save taxes. And one of the big things that I do is show people how to save for a tax-free retirement. You know, we've been inundated by the propaganda of Wall Street and fee-based advisors that the only way to save for your retirement is a 401k or a stock portfolio. Well, little do they know, a 1% fee over a 30-year period will reduce your income by 1/3. And the average fee in a 401k, and this is according to Forbes magazine in Lap Times, is 2.99%. People are going to be hit, but are going to be left with less than half of their income, and then they get hit with taxes anywhere from 20 to over 55%. The average 401k only lasts 5 to 7 years. It does not, it eliminate and doesn't eliminate, it compounds all the risk in retirement that I've spoken about before. In retirement, it's about distribution of your assets, not return on investment. And I'll give you a perfect example. Let's say that you've got $1 million in a stock portfolio. They say a 4% distribution rate, which is $40,000, used to be a safe distribution rate to last for 30 years, indexed for inflation at 3%. Well, actually, that's down to 2.8%. But let's say it's the $40,000. Okay, that's not guaranteed for one thing. If you had a fixed or fixed indexed annuity that I sponsor, you'd only need approximately $650,000 out of that $1 million to give you the same $40,000 a year. That's guaranteed for the rest of your life. I don't care if you live to age 120. And even if that accumulation value runs out in that fixed indexed annuity, the insurance company has to pay you the $40,000 for the rest of your life. And the big thing about this, you're guaranteed by contract never to have a loss due to a market downturn, because we're not tied to the market in fixed or fixed indexed annuities or life insurance to grow our assets. We use indexing strategies such as the Barclays Dynamic Balance Index, the Euro Index, the Brown Index. There's 176 different indexes out there. But when you have this fixed indexed annuity and there's a gain in the index strategy, that gain is locked in every year and your income goes up every year. You can't get that with a stock portfolio. You may lose a stock portfolio in a 6-month period. Think what happened in 2008 when people lost anywhere from 38 to 52%. We have things that happened in 2000 to 2010. You invested $100,000. By the end of 2010, you had approximately $96,000, but you had less than that because then you have to pay the fees to that financial advisor, whether you make money or not. You probably had about 80 some thousand dollars. But I'm a certified financial fiduciary. I'm a certified tax and business advisor. Less than 200 of us are in the United States right now. In 2023, I was selected for Who's Who in America for excellence in financial advice. This year, I was selected as top 100 advisors for finance. I've been seen in all the major networks, ABC, NBC, Fox, CW, and I was a wealth advisor on Consumer News Network out of Denver. I have been published in over almost 1,600 publications across the United States. My latest best-selling book on Amazon right now is Tax-Free Retirement Solution. That is my 9th book. I write many papers, newsletters, everything, but I'm very, very passionate about what I do. I teach people to think outside the box of conventional financial planning and show them all the things that I said: come your own bank, set up a tax-free retirement, saving healthcare costs and things like that. But I also show people how to set up a legacy that doesn't last for just your kids and grandkids. I'll set up legacies that will last for generations to come through these tax strategies. The tax strategies that I use for people. Most recently, I had a gentleman. He's a dentist that's retired. I saved him didn't save him. I retrieved $2.2 million in taxes he's paid over the last 4 years. And we're also paying the taxes on all his money for the his 401k of over $1.4 million and getting tens of millions of dollars in difference of tax-free money for him. And we're going to set up his family for generations to come with our legacy planning. I used to have a Series 63 where I did assets under management, stocks and bonds and things like that. But it goes against my thinking to charge people a fee whether they make money or not. Now I have a team of people that I work with. And what I mean by a team, I mean specialists in their fields. And what I mean by a specialist, Martin, is let's say that I'm your family doctor. I can treat you for minor illnesses, minor injuries, but if you need your knee operated on, you want an orthopedic surgeon, the specialist. And that's the problem with most people. They don't have a specialist. They have their family doctor that gives them their tax and financial advice. They're not specialists in any fields. But I have a team of people that are top tax-specific attorneys, CPAs, and other specialists in their fields, and we collaborate together to provide solutions for people's financial problems. In a nutshell, basically what we do is I show people how to reduce and possibly eliminate both debt and taxes, possibly set them up with a tax-free retirement that will eliminate or mitigate all the risk in retirement that a stock portfolio, bond portfolio, real estate, CDs, money market funds only compound, such as sequence of returns risk, which most people don't know about. These products that I have, they eliminate or mitigate the risk in retirement, such as sequence returns risk. The number one fear of retirement, running out of money before you run out of life. We can eliminate government risk. We can eliminate tax risk. We can eliminate interest rate risk and market risk. We eliminate the taxation of Social Security and the means testing for Medicare Part B. You're protected from lawsuits, liens, and judgments. These products avoid probate, which will decimate somebody's portfolio for their beneficiaries. And the big thing about it, it protects the family from long-term care, which right now costs between $50,000 to $200,000 a year. And 70% of Americans are going to need long-term care at some point in their life. 40% are on long-term care right now are between the age of 18 and 64. And you can't do this with a stock portfolio. These are insurance products, whether it be fixed or fixed indexed annuities or cash value life insurance, such as index universal life policies or whole life policies. Now, I have 8 of these policies for myself and my family, and we're fully protected. We're fully protected from long-term care. 2 years ago, I'm 72 right now. I've got 5 index universal life policies, and 2 years ago, I could have started taking over $100,000 out of tax-free money every year for the rest of my life. I don't need the money. I'm just letting my death benefit grow to create a legacy for my family. But the other things that I do is I show people how to become their own bank. I've been doing this for a decade and a half. I borrow from myself and pay myself back, and I compound interest for myself and not the financial institutions, and eliminate the effective interest costs that you pay on the money you borrow. And many people don't understand what the effective interest cost is. I'll give you an example. I have a gentleman, he retired from the military. He wanted to do my tax-free retirement plan. And I said, well, how much debt do you have? He said, well, we bought a new house a couple months ago at a 2.75% interest rate. I said, that's fine. I said, but here's the other thing too. Do you know the effective interest cost on that? He says, I don't know what you're talking about. I said, well, don't feel lonely, because most people, to include CPAs, financial advisors, and attorneys, have no idea either. But I want you to fill out this report and we'll talk next week. So what we did, I said, you've got $461,000 in debt. That's not your problem. The problem is the 49.76 effective interest cost that 2.75% mortgage rate is costing you. And he said, Alan, how is that possible? I said, because it's not going to get down to the 2.75 until the last couple months of the mortgage. I said, you got a credit card here that's over 90% effective interest cost. And even though you've got great credits, your average effective interest cost is over 46%. I said, what financial vehicle are you investing in that gives you a 46% return on your money, in your 401k or anything else? He says, well, there's absolutely nothing. In fact, I lost 10% in my 401k last year. I said, you're putting $1,000 a month in that, aren't you? And he said, yeah. I said, how long is it going to take you to pay your bills off the way you're doing it right now? He said, well, 20 some years, because we're paying extra on the mortgage. I said, we're going to take that $1,000 that you've got putting in there, and we're going to put it into a tax-free bucket of money in a whole life insurance policy. And we're going to pay all your debts off 14.17 years faster. And when you're 52 years of age, or 42 now, when you're 52 years of age, you'll have over $130,000 in a tax-free bucket of money that you become your own bank. You don't have to ever borrow money for a car, college education, for your kids, or anything else. And your death benefit at that time is over $400,000. And we just saved you over $73,000 in interest. Now you're 52. I've shown you how to become your own bank. You don't have to put any more money in this policy. But at the time you're 65, there'll be over $250,000 in a tax-free bucket of money to supplement your income that does not affect the taxation of Social Security or the means testing Medicare Part B, plus all those other benefits that I told you about. And now your death benefit is over $600,000 to protect your family, or you can use 90% of it tax-free for long-term care for pennies on the dollar. And he said, Alan, you made a dream of mine come true, but why don't people know this? I said, it's not rocket science. It ought to be taught in high school. But I've got college professors with PhD degrees in accounting and finance. They have no idea what I'm talking about. Some of them have even asked me to teach their class. But the other thing, too, is I save people tremendous amounts of money in their health insurance costs, anywhere from 20 to 40%. What I want to do is create a paradigm shift in people's thinking about conventional financial planning, because a lot of it is outdated and needs to be updated. A lot of financial strategies, I've seen people, well, I've been with my financial advisor for 40 years. Or I've got my financial advisor who gives me all my financial advice and my retirement advice. I said, is he giving advice to you that pleases him and his company, or is it you? You may have the greatest friend there, but is he going to be responsible? Because he's supposed to be fiduciary. I'm a certified financial fiduciary. And when financial fiduciaries do not tell their clients about the risk in retirement that will ruin their retirement, there's something wrong with that. That's what I want to have people understand. There's so many things out there that they don't understand. And like I said, 99% of the people, to include CPAs, attorneys, and financial advisors, have no idea what I'm talking about. All my consultations are free. It's all about education. I want to teach people the strategies that the wealthy and the banking institutions have been using for years. But very few people understand these strategies, and they're not strategies that are promoted by Dave Ramsey or Susan Orman. The wealthy do not have a 401k. First off, they can't afford, they make too much money for a 401k, but they wouldn't do it anyway. I have a website, it's strategicwealthstrategies.com. You can go on my website. I've got hundreds of videos. They're short educational videos. I also have a YouTube channel you can go to. But also on my website, there's different areas that you can do. I got a calculator on there. If you've got a stock portfolio or 401k, it will show you the taxes that you're going to be paying when you go to retire. And then we're going to have a conversation. We'll talk about how to get rid of those taxes and get all this money tax-free.
21st Century Entrepreneurship with Martin Piskarik.
Imagine a space where triumphs, trials, and tales of entrepreneurship come alive. Welcome to the 21st Century Entrepreneurship Podcast, a gold awarded journey hosted by Martin Piskarik, connecting with listeners in 95 countries and ranking in the top 0.5% of all podcasts. Join our exclusive community, elevate your perspective, and embark on the path to success.